Hey Lion, so good to see you. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to to dig back into our story Wonder. I've been thinking about it all day, and I'm excited to read a few more chapters to you. Don't forget the reason why we're reading is because we're trying to figure out what the theme of Wonder might be and what the author's purpose is for writing this story for us. And my post-it notes, my sticky notes started falling out of my book. So let me show you how I set up my reading notebook. We had decided that perhaps the theme could be family. Let me move this so you can see it better. Family, perseverance, or friendship. And so what I've done is I set up a page for each of those possible three themes, and I'm taping my sticky notes to those pages in my reading spiral. So, for example, these were the sticky notes that we thought supported that family was a theme, and then perseverance. Here's the sticky notes we have so far to support that as a theme, and friendship. Remember, we left off. We came across the first time that friendship might be a theme that emerges in the story. Don't forget, there can be more than one theme for a story. As long as you can prove it with text support, then you're fine. Because lots of, especially novels, more complex text, longer text, can have more than one theme. Something else I want to point out, when you are reading a novel or a really long piece of literature, you think you're going to remember all of these details, but you need to take notes. You need to be an active reader. One thing that I did, I modeled for you, I jotted down like the page number, and then I just put a few words from whatever the quote was. Now, we know when we are sharing evidence from a story, you can use the author's words if you surround it by quotation marks, okay? So that you are showing that, yes, I'm copying this from the book. That's why I have quotation marks. But especially as you start getting in third, fourth, and fifth grade, we need to start paraphrasing or putting those into our own words. So an example of this would be, so the blue is where I just jotted down a few words directly from the text. So I said, cheeks bright red. So this was under text evidence to support that family might be a theme for the story Wonder. So I had just written down on page 34, and my key words to jog my memory was cheeks bright red. But then what I did is I paraphrased, or I put this into my own words. It's like I summarized that part of the text. So I wrote and read, this is how I paraphrased it. I said, Mom was visibly upset and worried when Augie went to school. And we knew she was visibly upset because her cheeks were bright red. All right, so that's what I did for each of my sticky notes. I paraphrased or put into my own words what that text evidence was about, because I have a feeling by the time we finish this novel, I may not remember what cheeks bright red is by the time I'm finished reading. So I want to be a strategic reader and active reader. So an active reader does take notes. They develop a system for taking notes. So I will start adding my sticky notes to the page in my reading spiral that goes along with whatever theme I think is possible for this novel. Okay, so we'll keep adding, and we might even have some new themes emerge. All right, so we'll keep adding to that. I just wanted to show that with you so you could see how I'm changing how I'm adapting as we continue reading. Okay, let's get started. The next chapter is Around the Room. Whew, this is such a good story. All right, Ms. Petosa told us a little bit about who she was. Don't forget, this is Augie's first day at school. He had been homeschooled up until this point. And remember, he has some facial disfiguration. Remember, it talked about his that he had Not all of his ears were developed. So he was really nervous about going to school for the first time ever. Okay, so Miss Petosa told us a little bit about who she was. It was boring stuff about where she originally came from and how she always wanted to teach, and she left her job on Wall Street about 6 years ago to pursue her dream and teach kids. Let me tell you a little secret. Most of us who are in education, it really is our dream to work with kids. You guys are the reason why we come to work every day. You are our joy and our pleasure. Okay, sorry, I digress. Okay, she ended by asking if anyone had any questions, and Julian raised his hand. Yes. She had to look at the list to remember his name. Julian. That's cool about how you're pursuing your dream, he said. Thank you. You're welcome. He smiled proudly. Okay, so why don't you tell us a little about yourself, Julian? Actually, here's what I want everyone to do. Think of 2 things you want other people to know about you. Actually, wait a minute. How many of you came from the Beecher Lower School? About half the kids raised their hands. Okay, so a few of you already know each other, but the rest of you, I guess, are new to the school, right? Okay, so everyone think of 2 things you want other people to know about you. And if you know some of the other kids, try to think of things they don't already know about you. Okay? Okay. So let's start with Julian, and we'll go around the room. Julian scrunched up his face and started tapping his forehead like he was thinking really hard. Okay, whenever you're ready, Miss Petosa said. Okay, so number 1 is that, do me a favor and start with your names, okay? Miss Petosa interrupted. It'll help me remember everyone. Okay. Oh, okay. So my name is Julian, and the number 1 thing I'd like to tell everyone about myself is that I just got Battleground Mystic for my Wii, and it's totally awesome. And the number 2 thing is that we got a ping pong table this summer. Very nice. I love ping pong, said Miss Petosa. Does anyone have any questions for Julian? Is Battleground Mystic multiplayer or one player? Said the kid named Miles. Not those kinds of questions, guys, said Miss Petosa. Okay, so how about you? She pointed to Charlotte, probably because her desk was closest to the front. Oh, sure. Charlotte didn't hesitate for a second. Like she knew exactly what she wanted to say. My name is Charlotte. I have 2 sisters, and we just got a new puppy named Suki in July. We got her from an animal shelter, and she's so cute. That's great, Charlotte. Thank you, said Miss Petosa. Okay, then, who's next? Lamb to the Slaughter is the title of the next chapter. Remember, that's what Dad was saying on the car ride home from Christopher's house, and Augie overheard him say that, and he asked, what is lamb to slaughter? Like a lamb to the slaughter, something that you say about someone who goes somewhere calmly, not knowing that something unpleasant is going to happen to them. I Googled it last night. That's what I was thinking when Ms. Petosa called my name, and suddenly it was my turn to talk. My name is August, I said, and yeah, I kind of fumbled it. What? Said someone. Can you speak up, honey? Said Miss Petosa. My name is August. I said it louder, forcing myself to look up. I have a sister named Via and a dog named Daisy, and that's it. Wonderful, said Miss Petosa. Anyone have questions for August? No one said anything. Okay, you're next, said Miss Petosa to Jack. Wait, I have a question for August, said Julian, raising his hand. Ooh. Oh boy. Why do you have that tiny braid in the back of your hair? Is that like a Padawan thing? Yeah, I shrugged nodded. What's a Padawan thing? Said Miss Petosa, smiling at me. It's from Star Wars, answered Julian. A Padawan is a Jedi apprentice. Oh, interesting, answered Miss Petosa, looking at me. So, are you into Star Wars, August? I guess. I nodded, not looking up because what I really wanted was to just slide under the desk. Who's your favorite character? Julian asked. I started thinking maybe he wasn't so bad. Jango Fett. What about Darth Sidious? Said. Do you like him? Okay, guys, can you talk about Star Wars stuff at recess? Said Ms. Petosa cheerfully, but let's keep going. We haven't heard from you yet, she said to Jack. Now it was Jack's turn to talk, but I admit I didn't hear a word he said. Maybe no one got the Darth Sidious thing, and maybe Julian didn't mean anything at all, but in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious's face gets burned by Sith lightning and becomes totally deformed. His skin gets all shriveled up and his whole face just kind of melts. I peeked at Julian and he was looking at me. Yeah, he knew what he was saying. Again, I'd like to have a conversation with Julian. Okay, the next chapter. I like this one. Choose kind. Maybe. Yeah. I'm wondering if kindness might be a theme that emerges here. Let's see. There was a lot of shuffling around when the bell rang, and everybody got up to leave. I checked my schedule, and it said my next class was English, room 321. I didn't stop to see if anyone else from my homeroom was going my way. I just zoomed out of the class and down the hall and sat down as far from the front as possible. The teacher, a really tall man with a yellow beard, was writing on the chalkboard. Kids came in laughing and talking in little groups, but I didn't look up. Basically, the same thing that happened in homeroom happened again. No one sat next to me except for Jack. There's another example, I think, of friendship. That was one of the things that we had that we had marked last time we read. And I'll show you. It's in my reading notebook, page 37. This is when we thought friendship might be emerging as a theme. Jack sat next to Augie on the first day. And so he chose to do it again in another class. So I'm going to mark this page. I'm going to put FR for friendship. And then when I'm done reading for today, I'm going to go back and then paraphrase what happened there. And I'll write on this sticky note that Jack chose to sit next to Augie again in the next class. Okay. So where did we leave off? Okay. So no one sat next to me except for Jack. Yay, Jack. Who was joking around with some kids who weren't in our homeroom. I could tell Jack was the kind of kid other kids like. He had a lot of friends. He made people laugh. When the second bell rang, everyone got quieter, and the teacher turned around and faced us. He said his name was Mr. Brown, and then he started talking about what he would be doing this semester. At a certain point, somewhere between A Wrinkle in Time and Shin the Sea, he noticed me but kept right on talking. I was mostly doodling in my notebook while I talked, but every once in a while I would sneak a look at the other students. Charlotte was in this class, so were Julian and Henry. Miles wasn't. Mr. Brown had written on the chalkboard in big block letters, P-R-E, let's see if I can show you, P-R-E-C-E-P-T. Okay, everybody, write this down at the very top of every first page in your English notebook. As we did what he told us to do, he said, okay, so who can tell me what a precept is? Does anyone know? No one raised their hand. Mr. Brown smiled, nodded, and turned around to write on the chalkboard again. Precepts equals rules about really important things. Like a motto, someone called out. Like a motto, said Mr. Brown, nodding as he continued writing on the board. Like a famous quote, like a line from a fortune cookie. Any saying or ground rule that can motivate you. Basically, a precept is anything that helps guide us when making decisions about really important things. He wrote all that on the chalkboard and then he turned around and faced us. So, what are some really important things? He asked us. A few kids raised their hands, and as he pointed to them, they gave their answers, which he wrote on the chalkboard in really, really sloppy handwriting. Rules, schoolwork, homework. What else? He said as he wrote, not even turning around. Just call things out. He wrote everything everyone called out: family, parents, pets. One girl called out the environment. The environment, he wrote on the chalkboard and added, our world. Sharks, because they eat dead things in the ocean, said one of the boys, a kid named Reed. And Mr. Brown wrote down sharks, bees, seatbelts, recycling, friends. Okay, said Mr. Brown, writing all those things down. He turned around and when he finished writing to face us again. But no one's named the most important thing of all. We all looked at him, out of ideas. God? Said one kid. And I could tell that even though Mr. Brown wrote God down, it wasn't the answer he was looking for. Without saying anything else, he wrote down who we are. Who we are, he said, underlining each word as he said it. Who we are. Us, right? What kind of people are we? What kind of person are you? Isn't that the most important thing of all? Isn't that the kind of question we should be asking ourselves all the time? What kind of person am I? Did anyone happen to notice the plaque next to the door of the school? Anyone read what it says? Anyone? He looked around, but no one knew the answer. It says, know thyself, he said, smiling and nodding. And learning who you are is what you're here to do. I thought we were here to learn English, Jack cracked, which made everyone laugh. Oh, yeah, and that too, Mr. Brown answered, which I thought was very cool of him. He turned around and wrote in big, huge block letters that spread all the way across the chalkboard, Mr. Brown's September Precept. When given the choice between being right or being kind, choose kind. Ooh, I like this Mr. Brown. I wonder if he's looking for a teaching job. I'm gonna, you know what? This is making me think. Where are my little flag stickies? This is really making me think, if this is his precept, which is something he's saying is really important, I'm thinking kindness might be a theme that's going to emerge here. So I'm going to put a sticky note, and I'm going to put page 48, and I'm going to put K for kindness, and then I'm going to go back when we're done reading, and I'm going to paraphrase, which remember means to put into my own words what has happened. And so I'm going to write on here that the teacher, Mr. Brown, is teaching the students about a precept to always choose to be kind. Okay. Ooh, that was my knee. Okay, so everybody, he said, facing us again, I want you to start a brand new section in your notebook and call it Mr. Brown's Precepts. He kept talking as we did what he was telling us to do. Put today's date at the top of the first page, and from now on, at the beginning of every month, I'm going to write a new Mr. Brown precept on the chalkboard, and you're going to write it down in your notebook. Then we're going to discuss that precept and what it means. And at the end of the month, you're going to write an essay about it, about what it means to you. So by the end of the year, you'll all have your own list of precepts to take away with you. Wow, what a great idea. Over the summer, I ask all my students to come up with their very own personal precept. Write it on a postcard and mail it to me from wherever you go on summer vacation. People really do that? Said one girl whose name I didn't know. Oh, yeah, he answered. People really do that. I've had students send me new precepts years after they've graduated from the school. Actually, it's pretty amazing. He paused and stroked his beard. But anyway, next summer seems like a long way off. I know, he joked, which made us laugh. So, everybody, relax a bit while I take attendance. And then, when we're finished with that, I'll start telling you about all the fun stuff we're going to be doing this year in English. He pointed to Jack when he said this, which was so funny, and so we all laughed at that. As I wrote down Mr. Brown's September precept, I suddenly realized that I was going to like school no matter what. That's pretty cool. All right, guys, we're going to stop here for today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paraphrase or write in my own words what has happened on these pages that I marked with the sticky notes. The one will be to paraphrase the text evidence to prove that kindness might be a theme for this text. And the other one is going to be to paraphrase that friendship might be the theme. And the text evidence here, remember, was that Jack chose to sit next to Augie again in the second class. So that's what I'm going to put in my own words. Notice how I'm not doing it exactly from the text. I'm summarizing it in my own words. And for this page, the kindness, I'm going to summarize and put on here, Mr. Brown is having the students focus on the precept of choosing to be kind. And then I'm going to add that to my reading spiral. And then that way I've got my notes so that by the time we're done, we'll be able to answer what the theme is and the author's purpose, and we'll have all of our text evidence or our text support in our reading journal that we can use. All right, guys, I can't wait to pick up tomorrow where we left off reading. This is such a great book. I hope you're loving it as much as I am. Have a great night, Lions, and I will see you tomorrow. Know we are learning some really complex ideas, but it's going to help you to become an automatic reader, an automatic speller. So I'm so proud of you for sticking with it. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye, Lions.